This is Feature Mind, and so there's a fairly new discovery. This discovery wasn't documented until 1989. And so most people agree that lightning mostly strikes downwards for the most part. But there's a phenomenon called Sprites and Elves. This phenomenon appears to be caused by lightning storms. They're saying after the atmosphere is charged by all of the electrical activity, energy is projected upwards instead of downwards every time. They also have these things called gnomes and halos and blue jets. And these are all scientific names that they came up with to describe this phenomenon. Some pretty weird names, but we're going to get into that in this video because this phenomenon could end up providing us a lot of insight about a possible firmament above. And so let's get started. So most people will never see these things. Some of these sprites discharge from the tops of clouds, but for the most part, most of them discharge simply from the upper atmosphere without any clouds. In fact, the upper atmosphere sprites occur way past clouds. See, in my last video, we discussed how lightning has pretty much everything to do with clouds, but clouds go up to about 11 miles max. So these sprites can occur 25 to 60 miles up. So that's a very interesting discovery because according to the heliocentric model, what would be up there that would cause a sprite? And they don't last very long at all, even quicker than lightning. So in the scientific heliocentric model, it's pretty much particle free the higher up you go. So what is causing this friction? So it's obviously something beyond lightning. And so the most interesting thing about these sprites is that they impact something that appears to be a firmament, if you will, because, I mean, the scientific community, they want to say that there's a magnetic field surrounding the Earth. So science is insisting that these elves are impacting above in the ionosphere area of the atmosphere. And we covered this in another video where the scientists also are trying to say that they can bounce signals off of this ionosphere. And so this sounds like a big clue about a firmament barrier above that's being described as an ionosphere by the scientists. I would guess that's probably their best way to explain what is taking place, because these sprites will shoot upwards and impact something and spread out, and they spread out like 30 miles across at times. It varies. And then with the elves, when they impact the upper atmosphere, which I believe is probably the firmament, so elves are said to expand in a halo form. And so this almost reminds me of Operation Fishbowl footage where there was impacts on what was suspected to be the firmament that looked very similar. So I find it very interesting that these things are called sprites and elves. The names that they pick, once again, it's always like, you know, the planets are named after pagan gods, and now these sprites and elves are named after the spirit world. When you look up sprites, sprites is an elf or a fairy. So that's definitely an interesting name to call such a thing. Also, the name sprite is like the word spirit. Is it possible this activity is related to some type of spiritual beings or something? Because not only are planets named after entities, but also there's speculation that stars could be sentient beings as well. Plus, there's apocryphal books that links meteors to entities. And you can find that in the apocryphal book of Solomon. And I covered it in my Meteors Are Not What You Were Told video. And there's phrases in the Bible like the fallen one fell like lightning from heaven and stuff like that as well. Another interesting connection and clue is through the soda Sprite and also 7-Up, and they're both actually similar types of sodas. And then with the 7-Up, there's plenty of information, especially in the apocryphal books, about a possible 7 layers of the firmament. So that would be 7-Up, and then also the connection with the Sprite brand. And that's exactly what these things are called above the earth. So these sodas could be giving off clues of the firmament, but there's also plenty of evidence that this is simply a natural phenomenon, because they say a lot of these occurrences happen after storms, and that's when they first got noticed. But it makes the most sense in the flat earth firmament theory, where there's some type of protective barrier above us. And there's a lot of information that I've been covering about this toroidal field energy, where it would have elements of some type of invisible force field. So that's exactly what they're describing with these sprites and elves. Like there's an impact going upwards and impacting upon some type of invisible force field, if you will, kind of like if you saw Star Wars or Star Trek, a lot of their ships have invisible force fields, so the projectiles, they impact an invisible barrier and they spread out. So that's pretty much how they're explaining these sprites and elves. The scientists are saying the ground has a negative charge, so it's possible the firmament has a positive charge, and perhaps that's related to this phenomenon of these sprites being attracted upwards. And so, if you ask me, this whole thing about sprites and elves needs to be investigated much more, because this could literally prove the firmament or the toroidal field. So there needs to be more extensive studies on this whole thing. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Check out my playlist, Weather and Seasons Are Not What You Were Told, for much more information related to this video. I'll leave the link in the comment section and in the description box. Visit feedyourmind1.com for bonus videos, news, exclusives, links to my other channels, social media links, and much more. If you support this channel, sign up to Feed Your Mind VIP room for secret videos, early releases, and sneak peeks at patreon.com/feedyourmind. Plus, you're helping this channel release much more documentary style videos. All links are in the comment section and the description box. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click your notification bell. This has been another episode of Feed Your Mind. Thank you for tuning in. Signing off.